I wanted to show y'all how to take code that you've written on Pipedream and then convert that to a reusable action. So actions are what we call code steps that can be shared with anyone. These actions can receive input, they can return output, so they're basically just like functions. They can use connected accounts. So in this example, I'm actually going to use Twitter to upload a media file. This is a specific action that we didn't have in the platform that I wanted to develop for y'all. We had a user ask about this. So I'm not going to focus on the code too much, but this basically downloads an image via URL and then uploads that to Twitter. And then Twitter has an API for referencing that uploaded file just by an ID. So you upload it, and then you can reference that uploaded file when you tweet. I'll quickly show you how that works just to show the example end to end. So I download this file, then I upload it to Twitter. I then send a tweet, test tweet, that references that image as an attachment. And then if I refresh, test tweet, this image, I'm going to delete this so I don't spam my followers. But that's a quick demo end to end of how that works. Again, we're not going to focus on the code too much, except where it's relevant, so you see how it works in an example. So what I'm going to do is actually copy this into a new workflow, just this code step, and I'll explain all the parts of this code that are relevant for actions. So in a new tab, I'll open workflows, new workflow. The trigger type here, it doesn't matter. I'm just using the workflow effectively as a text editor to edit my action, and then I can optionally send test events against it if I wanted to test the data. So the workflow just provides a really simple canvas to test your actions. But really what I want is just a new Node.js code step. And then I'm going to copy this code into here. Now I could have done this in the original workflow. I just wanted to show you an isolated example here in a new workflow. So when I pasted that, the first thing you'll notice is this param URL magically showed up here. Params or step params are just a way for steps to receive input. So you can use this regardless of whether you create an action out of this code step. All you have to do to include a param in a step is to reference params.stepName, okay? Or sorry, params.paramName. Params.url means that a URL param will show up right here. Now, I can even change the way that this URL param gets represented. If I edit param schema, I can change its type. Okay, it is a string, so I'm going to keep that. The label, though, I just want it to be capital URL to make it look a little prettier. And then in the instructions, I just click on that edit field, and I'll say URL to upload, URL of image to upload to Twitter. I think it can be anything. I'll just say URL of media to upload to Twitter. If I go back, then I see that description here, and then a nicer URL label. Okay, so again, all I had to do was reference the value of the URL that I want to download is params.url. And then I'll take that example URL and put it right here. Okay. So this code is a little complex because the Twitter authentication process is a little unique. Again, do not focus on the code. The most important thing to note here is that auths.twitter references the Twitter connected account. So if you look at our docs on docs.pipedream.com, we have a section on the auths object and how connected accounts work. And so auths.twitter expects there to be a linked account. So I've authenticated to Twitter. I've then linked it to the step, and then I'm using the OAuth access token and refresh token to authenticate to the Twitter API. So how do we link Twitter to this code step? This little plus button right here, if I click this, it brings up all the connected accounts on Pipedream. I'm going to search for Twitter, and I'll select that. I now see the Twitter icon here, and notice that this auths.twitter reference shows up right here. That tells me any connected account information I can reference via the auths object, the Twitter property. Okay, I'll connect the account. I've already linked my Twitter account separately, but you can create, I'll just show this again. You can create a new linked account if you have a new bot or a new account that you want to use for this code step. This just says for this specific step, in this specific workflow, I'm going to use my personal Twitter account. Now, when you publish the action, none of this information about the specific connected account is linked to that action. The reference for the Twitter app is the only thing linked to the action. So the user is expected to enter their own credentials. That is, when we actually use this action later, I'll show you, this connect account button is the only thing that'll be present. So the user then connects their own account to that step. Okay. So we've added the param. Again, this value, it's not going to show up in the action as well. It's going to expect the user to enter their own URL. But I've entered that URL now. I've linked Twitter. We've returned data. Let's just deploy this workflow and test it to make sure it works. Again, this is the power of Pipedream. I've got the code in this inline editor that allows me to send event data, and so I can test it immediately. And I do get this media ID string. That's just this random number that Twitter uses to identify the upload. So this is where things get interesting. Okay, I'm going to press Save as Action. My action title is going to be Upload Media. Now, I don't actually have to identify. I could say Upload Media to Twitter just to make it clear in search, but this action is going to be linked to Twitter. So anytime a user searches for Twitter actions, this step will show up. Okay, this action will show up for them. So I can add a nice name slug to identify this step. I'll show you how all this works when we add the action later. Steps.upload media to Twitter, just to match the name. Uploads media to Twitter using the upload API, and I've linked to the developer docs here. Okay, notice again this param is here, but its value is blank, which is good because the user wants to enter their own value. And then I can optionally convert this code step that I just edited to use the action. The benefit of that is if I update the action later, I have references to where I've used this action, so I can upgrade that action in specific code steps. Okay, so when I save, I just have to deploy because I now linked this code step to the associated action. So that's taken care of. Now, when I save this action, it's available to me to use in any workflow in my account. I can go to Actions. I see Upload Media to Twitter. Okay, so it's there. It's private by default to my account. We'll show you how to make it public in a second. But if I open a new workflow, and I select any random trigger, and then I now search Upload Media, I see that listed in my actions. I can click that. I get the URL I enter. I can connect my account, and that code I added is right here, right? So now it's a reusable code step that I can reference by name. I've got that linked to Twitter. So again, it shows up very clearly when I search as a Twitter action, okay? So any workflow in my account, I can now use this action. Let's say I thought this is a really cool action and I wanted to share it with the world. I go back to Actions, select this. There's this Publish button down here. Publishing an action makes it available to anyone to use. Okay, I publish it, go back to Actions. Now it's at version 0.1. Notice that that's just the default. I could set the version on my own, but it just increments with every change I make. So if I make another change, I can save it and then publish this action. And that action will now be on V2. Okay. I still have version 0.1 in case I want to go back and reference that code. The public version of the action that anyone can now see is version 0.2. Okay, so only the latest version that I publish will be the version that the users see. So if I go into a different account, I could search Upload Media to Twitter in Steps, and I would see that too. Okay. So that's an end-to-end example. Again, you can take any node code, add it as an action, save it, and then that would be available to your account to use in any other workflow, or you can publish it and that allows anyone in the world with a Pipedream account to use it. Hope that helps. Let us know if you have any questions. And again, take a look at our docs on docs.pipedream.com for a little more information. Thanks.